Next on Great Performances.
The New World Symphony is composed of energetic young musicians just launching their professional careers. I work with them as a group, but a lot of what I do is working with them individually, finding out what they're searching for in their lives as musicians. I want you to take more responsibility individually and as a group and as a team to say, great, okay, we're going to pull it together.
Michael Tilson Thomas conducts Miami's New World Symphony. Great Performances is made possible by Martin Marietta, dedicated to excellence in aerospace, electronics, information management, and materials. Martin Marietta, masterminding tomorrow's technologies. Great Performances is also made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the National Endowment for the Arts, and by the financial support of viewers like you.
When we founded this orchestra, we decided to call it the New World Symphony because it's about new beginnings. It feels like an academy, a community in progress of young musicians. They're all here because they want to be great artists and they want to be great colleagues. They're really devoted to music and to one another. When I close my eyes conducting the New World Symphony, I hear the sounds of a great professional orchestra. They play with such depth, maturity, and polish. But when I open my eyes, there's that shock of seeing almost 100 young, enthusiastic faces who are often experiencing this music for the very first time. So many of them are discovering in such a personal way what this music means to them and whether they want to devote their lives to it. That's one of the big reasons I'm so committed to this orchestra. It does such great things for me as a musician to have the joy of taking apart, re-examining the classics of the repertoire through the enthusiastic, fresh perspectives of these young people. It's like having my batteries recharged. I have two musical homes these days. London, where I'm principal conductor of the London Symphony, and Miami, where the New World Symphony is based. These two homes are so different. The London Symphony is a super fast-track, polished ensemble, and the New World Symphony is a community of growing young talents, young people exploring music and their place within it. It's been the dream of Americans to have an orchestra like this for so many years, and it became a reality when a group of private citizens in Miami said, let's do it.
Well, the first time that I met Michael Tilson Thomas was at a taping of a television show about young musicians, and I found his level of energy and his interest and his ability to communicate with musicians and about musicians to be so extraordinary that talking with him after that show, I wanted to find a way that we could work together with more advanced musicians in a setting that would really bring him together and use all of his powers as a conductor and as a teacher. The first major opportunity that I had to work with Michael Tilson Thomas was in the first summer of the Los Angeles Philharmonic Institute, which was the summer of 1982. And it was a new program that was designed to bring together gifted musicians from all over the United States for an intensive 6-week summer program. In the second year, Michael became the artistic director, and we worked together for 4 summers. The major thing that prevented us from moving forward with our plans and the ideas that we'd had for many years was the availability of significant funding to get this program off the ground. And that's what we found in Miami.
One day I was in Croydon, in England. I was invited by Lady Schulte to listen to George Schulte's conducting the European Youth Orchestra.
Ted is like a Renaissance patron, that he believes in his ideas, he puts his money behind it, he puts his energies behind it. This is the very important thing.
I was very excited because I heard sounds that were almost foreign to me. They're so good. I turned around to my wife and I said to her that I thought that with the national foundation that we're running, we have the credentials to go out and reach out for the finest students in music and bring them together and create a sort of a training orchestra.
And the phone rang one day and they called up and said, we've got it, the orchestra is happening, and it's going to be called the New World Symphony.
As this group came together for the first time, I was sitting there crying from just listening to that beauty.
I felt immediately that this was going to be an orchestra worth watching and worth hearing, not just on a local level, but at an international level.
Every year, a new crop of musicians arrives here on Miami Beach. In the first 2 years of the orchestra's existence, over half the personnel has changed. That's because so many have won positions in orchestras, chamber groups, universities. I sometimes feel like we're running a AAA farm team. We get a great infield together, then the major leagues come along and raid us. I do miss the wonderful ones who move on, but it's so exciting to encounter the bright new talents who are always arriving.
The Plymouth Hotel.
Yes. 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 I'm sorry, I can't help you. We have all our rooms are taken by the New World Symphony Orchestra. Yeah. You can find something in the neighborhood. Yes.
Oh, you checking in?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
There are many youth orchestras in this country, many, in almost every community, but generally their top age is about 21 years old. There are also a wide variety of summer training programs as well. But all of these programs tend to be either weekend type programs or after school programs for people who are generally still studying, or they tend to be very intense but short-lived programs. And so there's never really been a place to bring all of those people together in a more intense program, but over a longer period of time in which they concentrated on nothing else but developing themselves as young musicians.
For young musicians, it's a unique opportunity. You finish music school and then you go straight into an orchestra, if you're lucky. A lot of people aren't lucky. And this fills in the gap. It trains them. It does, in a way, what the Repertoire Theatre or the stock company did for the theatre.
They're from all over the United States. The first round of auditions was 1,000 people, and we chose 93 of them.
This is the brass quintet made up from the New World Symphony. And this is the first time the five of us have been together.
This seems like a foreign country around here. It's so different from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
There was a performance that I heard in Spain that was incredibly influential for me. I heard Boulez play the Petrushka, Stravinsky Petrushka, and Bartok music for string, percussion, and celeste, and I had my eyes on that pianist the whole time. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
I was the last person on the block anybody ever thought would be a musician. And my parents are very happy about it. I think my family's real proud of it.
I find myself here in South Miami Beach with my cat and a bedspread which has mistakes on it, which Mr. Chopin would not like. But here I am.
I couldn't wait to jump aboard. This is new, this is fresh, and hopefully it's going to be always new and fresh. Unfortunately, in this country, we have 2 million graduates who are raring to go, and really, there's no place in this country for them to go. Everywhere in the world, there is a real need for this quality string playing, and we have to find out a system of feeding our people to these venues that really, truly need this playing. We're telling these young people, we're not going to babysit for you. You're going to sit, and you're going to work, and you're going to work, because you're going to have to go out there and play for real live people, and it better be bloody good.
So the pressure of not being asked back is always there. That is, to be invited back to participate the next season. But you can't worry about it all the time, and you just have to, do your best and hope for the best.
When the musicians are here in residency, they receive a stipend which includes a weekly stipend of $300. They receive their housing, and they also receive a travel grant on which to come to Miami and to return to their home at the end of the season. We're the only orchestra that does that.
I'd say we're mostly people who have to pay back a lot of student loans, and that's part of the reason to do the extra work, I'd say, for me anyway.
Yeah, mine get paid off in 1996.
I'll have a big party then.
Every little bit helps, you know. We're trying to save up so we can go take auditions and things like that.
I grew up surfing and enjoying the ocean, so for me it was a great pleasure to come by the beach, to have it a half a block away, and to finish rehearsal. It's a great release.
You been?
Good. Did you have a good
I
summer?
enjoyed your music so much.
Oh, thank you.
I really did. But you look wonderful.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Did you get married?
No, I didn't.
The life of the orchestral pianist is the freest ride. You play about a third of the concerts, you get the best parts, you get the same pay, and the rest of the time you spend on the beach.
We've been friends for about 4.5 years. We met when John started his master's degree at Cleveland the year that I started my bachelor's degree. And we just became really good friends right as soon as we started school. There's always going to be rivalry because we're competing for the same jobs. When there's a job opening in a symphony orchestra, we're both going to be competing for that spot. So there's always going to be some competition, but we try not to let it get between our friendship. And
Jennifer and I are getting married in May. This is a good way to get exercise, to relieve some of the stress that's involved with playing.
It takes a lot more than just practicing. You have to be in shape.
We have to spend, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a day practicing. It depends on the instrument you play. It's harder for wind and brass players to play quite as many hours as other instruments because of the fatigue involved with the muscles of the face. But other instruments have physical limitations too. Your hands and fingers can only do so much as well.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this weekend and see if we can get focused in on what's going to happen this weekend. The Plymouth is filling up. They're all coming in and getting settled and all that. And, of course, we have these auditions coming. Oh, Mark, terrific. Just the guy I wanted to see. What about the auditions now tomorrow? Where are they coming from to audition?
We have a tuba from Boston and one from Arizona and California and a couple from Chicago. So we have a pretty good group of auditionees tomorrow. I'll be with you in about 15 minutes. Okay, thanks. See, we've had 9 players that have acquired professional positions since January, and 5 of those have been in the last 8 weeks. I think most orchestras would, at that point, maybe be upset because they're losing personnel, but the whole point of this orchestra is to place our musicians in professional settings. It gives me headaches, but we're excited for the musicians. I mean, it fulfills the New World Symphony mission.
Well, you get kind of used to it, but you never know if they're listening for a certain thing that you don't know that they want you to do or sound like.
Well, I'll give it a shot, you know. At the very least, if I don't make it, I can stop at Disney World on the way back and have a vacation, so.
New World Symphony would be a great thing to have on my resume as an orchestral membership in an orchestra.
I've got a one screw on my first valve that's just working its way loose. I was just hoping it doesn't work itself all the way out and have my valve fall off on me also. I've got an old horn, so. I mean, I was nervous, you can tell, but well, we'll see now.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah,
Not the greatest in the world, but seeing how it was my first audition, I guess it wasn't too bad. It gave me experience anyway, so.
Okay, Morris, could we please hear the Wagner Ride of the Valkyries?
The tuba has only been around for about 150, 160 years. There's probably 300 or 400 years worth of music, which most of it doesn't have tuba.
Morris, Michael Tilson Thomas is coming in on the Concord tomorrow at 2:30. We'd very much like him to hear you play.
Nothing is chance. These two orchestras have come into my life just at this moment. They both complement one another in an extraordinary way. The LSO is an orchestra which needs solutions. It needs me to know the right answer at the exact moment we're rehearsing. There's no time to fantasize or experiment. I need to give them the answer. It's important for their lives, their very existence, our existence together. The New World Symphony needs me to think and experiment and try, and affords me the time to let my imagination develop. So these two orchestras allow me to become the kind of person that can best serve them both.
Fanfare is the support group for the New World Symphony. We've organized this party today. The symphony is back together for their new season in Miami. Today's the first day Michael Tilson Thomas is back in town, and in fact, he's going to be here in a little while.
What am I? I'm what's called in America showbiz intelligentsia. You know, so I try and combine best qualities of those two things. So I guess that puts me in sympathy, certainly, with the let's get to it and make music school of principal conductors of the orchestra.
Hello.
Welcome back home. Welcome to the Plymouth. Please come on in. We're thrilled to have you.
Nice to be back.
They're all back here, all the familiar faces. There's so much talent here, it's incredible.
By the time I get back to Miami, the orchestra's been together for weeks, playing chamber music, practicing, and getting acquainted. The first day we're together feels like a family reunion. It's so essential that no one be left out or be making music in a vacuum. The communication at parties, at lunch, on the street, and in rehearsal is vital. We cross-question and challenge one another all the time. I'm just so happy to see all of you, really. It's so wonderful last night, seeing all of you and remembering all of you and thinking, gosh, you know, boy, Miami, California, and now Miami. Did anything else ever happen? You know, it's just like all these other... What was that? I'm sure that was good, but maybe I should hear about it later. The most important thing about this is that in every situation, in the orchestra, in chamber music, in the work we're going to do in new music, I want you to take more responsibility individually and as a group and as a team to say, great, okay, we're going to pull it together. What does it actually require? The New World Symphony is composed of very inexperienced, in some ways, young musicians. They have an enormous amount of technique and haven't connected their own personality, the personality of the composer, how those two things can be together to make music which is not only correct, but which is emotionally affecting, which, as my grandparents would have said, goes over. That's called being a young composer. Suddenly goes, oh my God, everything goes twice as fast. Now I want to try something really crazy. Get the last note from John, and then close your eyes and play the last notes. Da-dee-da-dee-da-da-da-dum. Pluck, pluck. I deliberately go out on a limb sometimes in these suggestions that I make to them, which in any other context might be really ridiculous. It's so great we get to do this Mendelssohn concerto and Romeo and Juliet and sort of make one kind of sound world after this. I don't know where we go. We should do a little, can we do a little Mahler Adagietto? I don't know what our time is. Are we out of time now? Let's do a little reading of just the Adagietto. It's like really a salon piece. It's like one of the great symphonic salon pieces. It's a very expressive, you know, heartbreaking piece. And it has to be played from memory, that you're very certain about what the next note is and what its expression is. So let's begin to feel our way here. I really like springing something on the orchestra in rehearsal. A snap sight reading, just like the day my piano teacher made me sight read Gaspard de la Nuit with no notice at all. There comes that day when you've got to play the Mahler Fifth Adagietto for the very first time. End of the second bar, I'm in subdivision for the harp, and then I'm back in quarter notes after that. And just don't obsess about where those triplets go. It's just a nice little quiet arpeggiation filling in the harmonies. You know, it's not... It's not that. It's just... I loved classical music because of the mystery in classical music, because of the unattainable goal that performing it in a way that completely expresses what it speaks to is. Yes, those long notes, you're like feeling your way. You don't know where you are. Just keep going, keep going. How did I get here? And then, like Brahms' 4-second phrase. First phrase. Right?
take the sound across the bar.
Perhaps we should say classic music. That is to say, there are pieces that are classics because they are so powerful, they are so universal, that people feel drawn to hear them again and again. That there's something about them which is not completely revealed or which continues to reveal itself through many, many more hearings. The meaning of the glissando is, I surrender. Okay. That's what the meaning of it. It's an ecstatic surrender. That's right. So try make it so that there's nothing squeaky in it. You know, there's still just a slight, donkey-ish quality still in there. It sounds somehow the way it sounds, it's like a kind of pianissimo hee-haw that we're playing it still. Yeah, and then you cross over. Yeah. If the maestro image of conductors means somebody who is aloof and unapproachable and somewhat frightening, no, I don't like that image at all.
As you start the glissando, do it once more. I'm just curious to see exactly how the mechanics work. Even more finger pressure.
If the literal meaning of the word, that is someone who is a master of certain things, who does know the answer to certain things, I'm very happy to have that appellation.
Well, it's a terrific beginning, but you have no idea how much more there is in this piece, how much more the piece has to be played from the inside. Everything. And we're going to get there because it's really a sensational beginning.
When you haven't worked with him for a while, you really do look forward to getting back because, you know, I always think that working by myself and doing my own recitals is better than having anybody else to work with. But Michael's kind of an exception.
He worked everything with us just like, you know, master of painting. And he told very clear everything what he wants. That's why we always, you know, enjoy to have him.
I do feel like being here, it is a joint experience. I think he gets to have the excitement of having a non-jaded group of musicians, people who haven't done all this music 100 times already and who aren't, you know, going by union rules, but are here to really learn the stuff, and he can experiment, he can try different things, and we're willing to really do that for him. So I feel there's an energy there that is really unique.
I work with them as a group, but a lot of what I do is working with them individually and finding out what they really need, what their hopes are, their dreams are, what they're searching for in their lives as musicians. Part of our work on the Mahler Symphony is to perform Mahler's songs. So I'm working with each member of the wind section on a particular song which they've chosen. Go back. This phrase was terrific when you did this. Be a little sadder in the way you resolved this. Tom Purdy is a wonderful, strong, and expressive trumpet player, and I want to work with him, emphasizing to him his special song-like expressive qualities, which are an enormous strength, and something that he can really build his whole approach to being a trumpet player upon. Over these next 10 or 12 days, I will hear everyone in the orchestra play. each year it's a new commitment on their part and on our part. So it's very important to have a sense of how much they're working and making use of this time and this opportunity.
Don Juan lived. Yeah. Don Juan, he soared. He soared.
I get real yum ba yum ba dim bum. So there's a whole note, like an eighth note in the air that you play.
We have many times when musicians are very sick and feel absolutely awful, but they say, if you have to strap me in my chair, I'm going to be there and I'm going to play the concert.
I was on my way to New York City in my car, and I got into a traffic accident, and I was in the hospital for a week. They had to fix me up a little bit inside, and they said it was very successful, though, so I'm not going to be feeling any long-range effects of it, you know, so.
Steve, welcome back. We're so happy to see you. Great to see you down there on this. He's been doing special research on the subject of life crises. This Romeo and Juliet in a lot of ways because, of course, it is a piece, it is somewhat a programmatic piece. Tchaikovsky was very clear in calling it an overture fantasy. Fantasy is a term which allows one a great deal of license, and you can call anything a symphony fantasy, or you can expand things far beyond that. Also, the beginning of this piece, which represents this, you read program notes, is supposed to represent Friar Lawrence, because this scoring has to have something of organ sound in it, churchy sound, and also it has to have a underlying kinship with plain chant, because Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison. Everything that I do with them is to try and stimulate their own imaginations. I'll say, well, you have to work this out, this out, this out. There's more in this piece than you think. Go off and fix this. The improvement in Romeo and Juliet, for example, from when we began it till now, is so extraordinary. And yes, of course, there remain still things to be solved. Spin the line out across. So many of them have said, gosh, I played this piece before, and I thought this was such a tired piece, and I couldn't imagine why you'd programmed it. And suddenly, I realized that even if I strive to the best of my ability, I can't possibly express all that this piece really contains. So that the low note in the E, the bass says, this is a sad story. All right. Stokowski used to, in the early days of recording, had knobs, on the podium that he could turn while they were making the record, so he could turn different people up and down, And it's great. There's like the Carmen Prelude is the best one of all. And you guys goes. Later on, what they did is they still gave him the knobs, but they disconnected them. So he was still, felt good. And you see what you did automatically when you hum. Right. Great. Now play that like that. And listen, tomorrow, first time with Joshua, but let's hum it instead of playing it. Just to, shake him up a little. Okay? Isn't that balance great?
Being a soloist, there's a certain lifestyle that goes along with it that is not for everybody, that's for sure. If I were playing in an orchestra, if I were going to end up going in that route, this would be the ideal situation to go to. It's such a great pleasure to see the orchestra members sitting on the edge of their seats and with their ears open and always receptive to the ideas of the conductor.
I say to them, look, you can look at the profession of music and you can see people who've been in it for many, many years, 20 or 30 years, and some of them are burned out, embittered. They've lost their sense of contact with the beauty and mystery and the truth of music. And other people still have the spark, they still have the glimmer of why they first went into music, and you can see it in them. They're different people because of it. Their whole outlook on life, their whole experience of life is better. You can't predict the course of your career no matter how talented you are. So much depends on luck. But if you can keep your spirit, if you can play for 50 years and still have your soul intact, you're the big winner. And that's what the New World Symphony is all about, keeping your spirit. As I work with the New World Symphony, it's a balance also. It's a balance between all the things that I know that I can teach them and things that I don't know that working with them helps me to learn.
Great Performances is made possible by Martin Marietta, dedicated to excellence in aerospace, electronics, information management, and materials. Martin Marietta, masterminding tomorrow's technologies. Great Performances is also made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the National Endowment for the Arts, and by the financial support of viewers like you.
This is PBS.